is one of the best tastes. It spreads a long way, so we've got the Old Town Trolley going up and down.
Super fun. Have a good one.
Something you'll never know because it happens on every third Thursday of April.
Okay.
So I haven't been to one in 7 years. Thank you all.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We'll get started tonight. I'll call this meeting of the Planning Commission to order. First off, let's do a roll call. Dina, can you let the record reflect that all 5 commissioners are present?
Yes, noted. Thank you.
Okay, we'd like to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, just briefly, I'd like to welcome Brent McPherson to the commission, his first meeting, and we're happy to have you on the commission, and thank you for volunteering. And with that, we'll move to oral communications. Any member of the public can address the Planning Commission, and with 3 minutes. Are there any public speakers today?
We do have one this evening, and that's Philip Kokomer. He has some documents to hand out and also a PowerPoint. You're all set. Go ahead.
Owner of 545 Ocean View Avenue, and I'm here to make you aware of the unintended consequences on height restrictions that Ordinance 30-16-10B6 is imposing on homes that are on the crest of a hill, built at one elevation, not on a slope, and not impacting any views. I'm asking you to fix Ordinance B6 to exclude homes on the crest of a hill. So if you look at this, you can see this is a photo of my house. The rectangle is where I'm trying to renovate. I'm not allowed to build a wall high enough that matches the roof there on the left above the door. Also know that the whole house is at one elevation. This is my view to the west, neighbor downhill, ocean to the west, no impact on views to them, and then to the east towards the 5, no impact on views to them. This is the topographic map. If you look on the right-hand side, you'll see that the house is at one elevation and that all of the slope is at the back of the house, dropping 11 to 12 foot in a very short distance. Okay. Then this is the ordinance. It impacts, you are limited 12 foot above the crown of the road. Also notice in this drawing, you can see that this example is on the slope, and it's clearly the 12 foot is to help the person above and not below. This is the impact of this ordinance on my house. To the left, you can see that the 12 foot is from the crown of the road, but in my case, the crown of the road to the elevation of the house, you lose like some footage for the height of the walls, and then you are left with whatever is left between the elevation and the 12 foot. And also note that all of the walls are now impacted. Everything is now supposed to be at this, in this example, 7 foot, which is kind of where I'm at. I have inside of that package I gave you, there's a list of, the response from the city. They posit that, yes, this ordinance could be about views, and I can tell you it is definitely about views. In Ordinance B6, there's an exception for homes on a bluff. Interesting, bluff is considered to be a 10-foot drop. I've got a 12-foot drop. So if you look at, then there used to be, this is my next door neighbor, the photo on the top on the left. There used to be an Ordinance B7. I know that's not there anymore. It was voted out, but that's also included in this package, the waiver that they got in the 90s when they built this house. You can look at the wording there. It says crest of the road, not impacting any view. So clearly Ordinance B6 and B7 were supposed to be used together, B7 was supposed to be an exception to B6, preventing people on the crest of the hill to be impacted by this height restriction.
If you could find a conclusion here.
Yeah, so my request is, like the ordinance exception for homes on the top of a bluff or next to a bluff, please fix this ordinance B6 to have exceptions for homes on the crest of the hill. That's the request.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, the next item would be item 5, changes to the agenda. Are there any changes?
No changes.
Okay. And item 6, the consent calendar. The consent calendar is items that are considered routine and are voted on as one group of items. Tonight, there's one item, 6A, which is the approval of the minutes from February 1st Planning Commission.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
I should
I would
probably
like
not
to,
vote on that since,
Consider moving the residential project to the consent calendar. I don't see it as controversial.
Okay.
If we could go ahead and vote on that motion, please.
We want to add a,
Oh, that's like a change to the agenda? Oh, okay.
So maybe we go back to the changes to the agenda. So we're kind of going just one backwards.
all right,
Sorry, I missed it. Yeah,
changes to the agenda.
yes.
There's a motion
I'd
to.
like to go back to changes to the agenda. Move to take project 8B onto the consent calendar. I see it as non-controversial and staff recommended approval.
Sure. Is there a second or discussion? I'm sorry, is 8B the residential, the addition?
Oh, I had a couple questions, just questions. So I will not support the motion.
Okay.
Was there a second from anybody? Okay.
I don't see a second for that motion, but there is the motion to approve the consent calendar as is. And Bob, do you still second that motion?
I do.
Okay. Can we take a vote on the consent calendar?
Okay. There we go.
Okay, consent calendar passes. Okay, the regular agenda items, tonight we have 3 items. The first item is 8A, election of a chair and a vice chair to the Planning Commission. I think we'll do this in 2 parts, the chair first and then the position of vice chair after that. Would anybody like to make a nomination for a chair?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Steve Dalton as chair.
Thank you.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll call the vote. Thank you, everyone. Okay, the second part of this is the vice chair. Is there anyone who'd like to make a nomination? Go
I'll
ahead.
volunteer myself.
Okay. Bob, were you making a move?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
I'd like to nominate Chris Ryan to be vice chair.
I will second.
Okay. So discussion, do we want to have any discussion on this?
No, I just think my only comment would be I think Chris would do a great job as the vice chair.
Okay. I'll call the vote. Okay, and that passes. Congratulations, Chris. Okay, moving on to item 8B, the McPherson residence, case number multi 5915, 2023. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, we do. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sarah Cadona, Associate Planner with the City of Encinitas, and I will be presenting the project in front of you today. So the scope includes the construction of a first and second story addition to one single-family residence that is on a 50% interest subdivision lot, and this project requires design review and a coastal development permit. So in this slide, this is an aerial of the property. The project site is zoned R11. The surrounding neighborhood comprises of residents and lots similar to that. There are 2 attached single-family residences on a 50% interest shared lot. Here are some street views of the project site. This is a site plan, and the proposed project meets all required residential development standards. Here's the front elevation. Here's the rear elevation. Here's the side elevation. And last, the other side elevation. A CPP meeting was held on September 9th, 2023. 4 neighbors attended and participated, asking questions about the proposed height and if the addition was for an accessory dwelling unit. The applicant clarified that the project meets the required height limit and the addition is not an accessory dwelling unit. And since staff has not received any comments or concerns from the surrounding neighbors. Staff recommends approval based upon the findings written in the staff report, and the project is subject to the conditions of approval. Thank you.
Just briefly, before we get into any questions, if we could do disclosures for this project. Any disclosures to make?
I visited the site.
Okay, thank you.
I have been in that community. I have done several property inspections for neighboring homeowners.
Okay, thank you. And I have no disclosures to make. Okay, are there any questions of city staff?
Yes. So does the new addition meet the current density requirements for the site?
Yes, it does. So it's only one single-family residence.
I think there was a calculation in there regarding FAR, correct?
Yes, it meets FAR requirements.
Is the development subject to city design standards and setbacks?
Yes.
It is. And so along the northern side where the second story is going to go, no issues with the setback there and the height to the bottom of the wall. I think that was one of the setback issues, so you don't foresee any issues there based on the permit?
No, I do not see any setback issues.
Is the property subject to stormwater retention and various native plant guidelines for a new permit? So will they be subject to the new guidelines, and also that would also include, stormwater runoff?
No, they are not, because they're just doing a second story addition. So, well, first story as well, but.
So what triggers then their obligations under the guidelines if they're doing a full first story and second story?
Is your question, when do the stormwater regulations start to apply to a project?
Correct.
So it does get routed to our engineering division, and they look at it from a square footage perspective to see if it requires any stormwater, and then they'll condition the project as such.
I'm thinking of some of the splits we've had in Cardiff where there was going to be new developments, and they were subject to, we had long conversations over bioswales on the Cardiff lot split, and the development on the single-family home. I didn't see any of that in this application. I was wondering why.
There's a certain square footage threshold that they look at when it triggers it.
Mhm.
So this one did not meet
Did not?
that.
Okay. Let's see. The local coastal plan on page 7, it says the local coastal plan consistency on page. Is it correct to say that the project complies with all municipal code requirements when the report says the parking is non-compliant?
Yeah, so the,
I think it's a legal, non-conforming use. It was legal at the time the building was built, and so that
Right.
makes
Correct.
it a legal structure or
Okay.
legal parking.
And so so they're not subject to the obligation on page 5 where it says they're non-compliant because they won't have 2 covered parking stalls because it's
Right.
it's conforming non-compliant?
It is, in a bizarre way, it's compliant with the non-conforming clauses of the ordinance. Right?
Interesting.
It's a non-conforming use.
So that second car will then be parked on the street? Or
Probably-
it doesn't?
In
it's
the
not
driveway.
Wherever it's parked now.
It's not required to be covered?
Right.
Okay. And I guess lastly, are there any non-conforming issues with the current property that will be cured as part of this approval?
no, the only nonconformity is the parking.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? Okay. Is the applicant here, and would they like to address the commission? I don't have anything to say. I am the applicant. Okay. Thank you. Is anyone submitted a speaker slip to speak to this?
No, no speaker slips.
Okay. Then I'll close the public comment portion and open it up to commission deliberation.
From my point of view, it looks like it's very thoughtfully and tastefully designed. It conforms with our standards. And it only covers about a quarter of the lot. So it's well below that threshold. So I'm definitely in favor of supporting the project.
It will be the only, I drove the street today, and it will be the second story on the street. So sometimes in their staff reports, they talk about being consistent with surrounding area, and I didn't see that in the staff report, and this would be, not to say they can't do it, but this would be the first one on the street. Clearly, the neighbor to the north didn't opine. They did have a comment from the other 50% lot split, and they were fine with it, the next-door neighbor, Glover, but the person to the other side didn't make a comment.
I think we reviewed a similar project to this a year, 18 months ago.
We did.
Which was adding a second story. In my mind, a two-story structure is consistent in a single-family neighborhood.
I believe at some point they remarked too that it would break up the sight line, the consistent sight line of all single stories, and help alleviate some of the monotony.
Yeah, that's an opinion. It breaks up the sight line, yes, but it is the first on the street. So, yes, it does break it up, and it is consistent with breaking it up. It's just, no one else seemed to complain about it or comment about it, so they don't seem to have a problem with it.
Okay. I tend to share Susan's support for the project. It seems like a decent enough addition and appropriate to the neighborhood. Brent, any comments from you?
No, I have noticed that quite a few of the units within that community have upgraded to new exteriors, and this will fall right in line with that and continue to improve in that neighborhood.
Right. Okay. I'd entertain a motion if anybody's so inclined.
Motion to approve?
Okay.
Second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. No discussion. Let's call the vote.
Sarah, sorry, can you put the vote on?
Okay, the motion passes 5-0. The next item on our agenda is the item 8C, the Fish Shop alcohol license, case number multi-6580, 2023. This is for a minor use permit associated with the alcohol license. With that, I'll turn it over to, or ask the commission for any disclosures. I have frequent the establishment often.
I have been to the establishment as well several times.
I have also, including in about the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, well, I've been there.
Yeah. And I have eaten there, but it's been some time. Okay. So with that, I'll turn it over to the staff for a presentation.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Takuma Eastland, Associate Planner. The item before you is multi-006580-2023, the Fish Shop Alcohol License Upgrade Project. The subject property, outlined in red, is located at 1010 South Coast Highway 101 within the Downtown Encinitas Specific Plan and is zoned Downtown Encinitas Commercial Mixed 1. The site was developed as a commercial building with several tenant suites prior to the city's incorporation. Surrounding the project site are a mixed-use development and restaurants to the north, a hair salon and pub to the south, the lumberyard, shopping center, and a used car dealership to the east, and office buildings and multifamily residential to the west. The applicant requests the upgrade of an existing alcoholic beverage control Type 41 license for the existing Fish Shop restaurant to an ABC Type 47 license. The Type 41 license is for beer and wine, while the Type 47 license is for beer, wine, and distilled spirits. The proposed Type 47 ABC license will not change the operational characteristics of the existing use, other than to allow service of distilled spirits in addition to the already allowed service of beer and wine. No other changes are proposed within the scope of this project. The proposed project requires approval of a minor use permit and coastal development permit. Approval of the original use permit associated with the project site occurred prior to adoption of the Downtown Encinitas Specific Plan on February 9th, 1994. Restaurants with alcohol service now only require a minor use permit. Here are some images of the existing Fish Shop restaurant. The outdoor dining area seen in the image on the right is allowed through a COVID outdoor dining permit originally issued on August 31st, 2020. These permits are currently allowed on a temporary basis until July 1st, 2026, with annual renewals required. The temporary outdoor dining permit is not a subject of this application, and alcohol service is not allowed in this area. As previously mentioned, the operational characteristics of the restaurant won't change with the proposed ABC license upgrade. Service and consumption of alcohol will continue to be permitted between 8 a.m. and 12 a.m. Monday to Sunday. As a condition of approval of this project, windows and doors will be required to be closed by 10 p.m. and there is no live music allowed on site. Both the Sheriff's Department and the city's Code Enforcement Division reviewed the request for the minor use permit and CDP and had no comments or concerns. The applicant held a citizen participation program meeting on October 28th, 2021. 6 members of the public attended the meeting, with all being in support of the project. No other comments were received. Considering the length of time that had passed since the original CPP, the applicant submitted a second CPP that was sent via newsletter on February 23rd, 2024, to all property owners and occupants within 500 feet of the project site. No comments were received. Notice of this public hearing was mailed on April 4th, 2024 to all property owners and occupants within 500 feet of the project site and to anyone who requested such notice in writing. Again, no comments were received. The proposed project has been determined to be exempt from an environmental review pursuant to California Environmental Quality Act Guidelines Section 15061B3, which exempts a project from environmental review if it can be seen with certainty that there is no possibility that the activity in question may have a significant effect on the environment. In addition, Section 15301 exempts operation, permitting, licensing, and minor interior and exterior alterations to existing structures. The service of beer, wine, and distilled spirits will be compatible with adjacent commercial and residential uses, and the project has been conditioned to ensure that the alcohol service will not have an adverse impact on the surrounding uses or nearby neighborhood. Therefore, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt the draft resolution of approval and approve the project. And this concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Okay, seeing none. Oh, Bob?
I've got some. Thank you. Will the permit allow for alcohol service on the outdoor area at the moment? The outdoor area being the right-of-way space?
No.
If the ordinance is passed to extend the outdoor area, will it be retroactive to that?
I can speak to that. The sidewalk dining would have been required to be under this permit. So they would have to come back to the planning commission if they wish to have alcohol permanently that's not under COVID.
Right.
So it would have to apply for a use permit modification to allow for that.
So if the city passes the right-of-way ordinance, everybody, does that mean everybody in Encinitas, all the restaurants from Beer Garden down to this establishment would have to then come back and reapply?
That is correct.
Okay. Let's see, that was number 1, 2, and 3. Is the applicant currently compliant with all of the codes per page 6 in your report?
Yes, throughout processing this project, the applicant has been determined to be in compliance with all applicable standards.
Does the issuance of the minor use permit, increasing it to the type 47, change the ratio of food to alcohol sales? I remember in a prior applicant where it was a sandwich shop looking to add beer, there's a caveat associated with alcohol sales to food sales. Is the increasing from type 41 to type 47 change that ratio at all?
As it relates to this project, no.
No?
No operational characteristics of the fish shop are changing.
And if I may add, alcohol 07 condition has that percentage of sales of alcohol to food within the resolution.
It does? Okay.
Yes.
Can you, all right.
Page 19 of 108.
Okay. All right. So it's the second from the bottom, alcohol 07, so shall not exceed 50% of the quarterly gross sales.
That's correct.
So have anybody audited their application?
We do not have a system in place to audit.
So we don't know if they're already exceeding that.
That's correct.
Okay. And then lastly, on the aerial photo highlighted the entire property. Is the application for the entire property highlighted, or is it just for the restaurant as is? So will the application apply for the entire building or just for the restaurant?
Sorry for the confusion there. The highlighted area is roughly the tenant suite that is currently the fish shop. Outlined in red is the whole property.
So the application is applicable only to the fish shop, or is the application applicable to the entire highlighted area?
Only to the fish shop.
Only to the fish
which
shop.
roughly is the highlighted area. Referring to this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It just seemed bigger, but I guess that's the site. Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Okay.
Clarify.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very
I have a
much.
question.
Yes?
I was just wondering, when does food service end at the restaurant? What time does that end? It might be a question for the applicant.
We have a condition of approval that says that food shall be served at the time that alcohol is served. So they have to be in line.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, I will ask, is the applicant here, and would you like to address the commission? If so, you have 10 minutes.
Just real briefly, thank you, Takuma, for your work.
If you could speak into the microphone, it just goes on to the recording.
Just thank you for your consideration on the project. I'm Matt Fredericks, Winship and Fredericks, consultant and attorney for Fish Shop, and Doug's the owner here. They've been operational since 2012 here. If you want to talk about alcohol sales, they are 85 to 15%, 85 food. So that's where they're at currently.
We're about 85 to 90% food. I mean, it's a restaurant. I have other bars that I'm involved with and stuff. It's a restaurant, family restaurant. I mean, honestly, even with the alcohol, I don't expect it to go up much more than that. It's just not that type of place it is. I mean, you all said you've been there, so it's not what we're looking to do.
Thank you, Takuma, for your work on the project.
Yeah, thank you.
If any other questions or?
Any questions of the applicant? Susan, did you want to follow up a question for the applicant?
Food service goes till how late?
We have winter hours and we have summer hours. I mean, right now, it's till 9 o'clock on weekdays, around 10 o'clock on the weekends. Summertime, we usually close around 10, 11. It just depends on if it's still crowded, if there's people out.
I think specifically your question is food's always offered.
Food is always offered if we're serving alcohol. It's part of our license.
So condition of approval, alcohol condition of approval 3 and 4 talk about there being the hours of operation, that they cannot sell alcohol beyond the hours of 8 in the morning till midnight.
And then alcohol 05 is the one that states that it has to be, food has to be served while alcohol is being served.
Good?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any members of the public that would like to speak on this?
We have no speakers.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, I will close the public comment or public portion of the hearing and open it up to commissioner deliberation. Bob, do you want to kick us off?
No, I just think it's a great business. It's fun. The food is great. The people are great. The people are really what brings me back because they're all very nice. The servers you have, they're all very energetic and polite, and it's a nice place to go hang out, grab a fish taco, watch a game. Thank you very much. I know it's hard. Thank you for being part of our community.
Chris?
Sure, I'll say something. So I also have frequented the restaurant since 2012, and the restaurant that was previously at the site, I don't know if that was yours or somebody else's, and it's always been a place when my kids were little, we enjoyed taking the kids because it was easy, it was fun, they had a lot to choose from. We really appreciate the big side portions. So thank you. I have 3 boys, so it was always really important to have a lot of big sides. So I just want to say I do support this.
Thank you. Brent, do you have any comments?
Yeah, no, I do support the, extension of the alcohol permit so that they can include hard liquor. I have been to the restaurant, and as a non-drinker, my only issue was that, of the wide variety of beers and wines, the selection is enormous. The non-alcoholic selection was very small. So I would just say, that.
I wonder if there's anyone in this room that could do something about that.
Yeah, but it's a wonderful establishment. I do appreciate it being in the community, so.
Thank you. Susan, any comments?
I can approve of all of the prior comments, but I can add that I think that it is good for our economy as a city. I think that if we want to be pedestrian-oriented, and if you want to get a cocktail, it is so central in our downtown area. It's definitely in a pedestrian-oriented area, very close to transit. So I'm in support of it.
Okay. I share a lot of those sentiments as well. I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Thank you.
Second?
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I will call the vote. Okay, and the motion passes 5-0. All right, with that, we will move on to the next agenda item, which is future agenda items added by the Planning Commission. Is there any future agenda items?
I am still waiting for our work plan information that we were supposed to delve into at the beginning of the year, and somehow we just haven't done it.
I can speak to that. We were waiting to have the commissioner seated so that we can have all commissioners present to work on the work plan.
So now, when will we?
Yes, the next May hearing.
Okay. Anyone else with comments? Okay, moving on to Planning Commission reports. Are there any reports?
I'd just like to say that I did attend Arbor Day that the city put on, and it was a really well-attended event. They were giving away many trees and other plants. There was a lot of information, and I was really happy to see that happening in our city. We're a tree city. So this was a wonderful event, and it was wonderful. It was well-attended.
So yes, so Steve and I attended, maybe Anna can give us the name of the conference that we attended.
The Planning Commission Academy?
Yes, with Anna. And I thought it was a very good conference. I think some of it was some repeat from the conference I went to before, but a lot of it was new, and it was also really helpful, even though some of it was a repeat. When I attended the first one, I was pretty new to the commission, and it was really good to hear a lot of even that same information again, having more experience. It was also really nice to meet people from all around the state. So I appreciate the opportunity to go.
And I'll piggyback on that. I appreciate the opportunity as well. It was a good conference, and I enjoyed the chance to learn a few things there.
I want to thank you for the offer. I was unable to attend, and I was disappointed not to be able to attend. It is a very worthwhile event, and if it comes down and you have an opportunity to go, it's almost drinking from a fire hose, but over time it does start to absorb, and there's just a lot of good information, and the speakers usually are well-informed, and it's usually pretty darn good. So it's a lot to take in, though.
I think your loss was my gain on that one, so thank you. Okay. With that, we'll move on to secretary reports.
The only thing that I have to report is that the May 2nd hearing is canceled, but we will resume on the May 16th.
Okay. With that, we've reached the end of our agenda. I will adjourn the meeting until the next regular Planning Commission meeting on May 16th. Thank you very, very much.